Hello everyone, it's the Gaming Nobleman, and today I'm going to give you a visual guide on how to acquire all the runes in the game Dead Cells. Dead Cells is a brutal metroidvania-roguelike mix, and in typical metroidvania fashion, most of the game is blocked off at the beginning. While you can technically finish the game on the first go, to see all of the different levels, or biomes as they are called in Dead Cells, you have to unlock the runes first. There are 6 runes in total, 4 of which are required to travel along the various branching paths within the game's world. While exploring the game's worlds, you come across certain points where you can interact with stuff like the screen goo, but it doesn't effectively do anything. Another one is this rune, which reacts to stomping but doesn't give way, or this statue in purple which buzzes when we rub it, but it doesn't really do anything, even if you rub it some more, or when you're a really gentle person, rub it even more. You also notice that at some points you have very narrow pathways on the ceiling, which you cannot jump up. Before we start this guide, I'd like to disclaim that as a Metroidvania, Dead Cells is made for exploring, so I highly encourage you to play the game by yourself if you have it, to discover all the secrets yourself if possible. And only if you don't know how to proceed any further and if you're stuck, then consult this guide. I personally find it much more rewarding to discover most of the game's world secrets on my own, and I assume most of you do too. If you still want to continue with this video, feel free to do it. Or if you are stuck within the game, or are a bit discouraged because you died a lot, please feel free to stick around. And if you haven't got in Dead Cells yet, I encourage you to get it. It has been fully released recently, and I can assure you the game's a total hit. So if you're ready and you know it, clap your hands. This is the Dead Cells All Runes guide. So the first rune is the Vine Rune. You'll find this in the Promenade of the Condemned. The Promenade of the Condemned is reached via the prisoner's quarters, and at the end you'll find the screen goo again and can only progress through this door into the adjacent room. Passing through the door, you'll find this drape with a skull and an arrow pointing down, and once you go down, you are stuck. You can tickle the green goo, but you can't do anything else. And then you'll find this elite stone, and you'll always have to face this elite guardian to progress. After beating it, you'll see this unknown artifact, and you can interact with it to absorb it. Interacting with the artifact unlocks the Vine Rune. With the Vine Rune, you can now use the green goo to create vines and progress further. You exit the room and you climb the vines to go on in the promenade. The next rune is the Teleportation Rune, which you will find in the toxic sewers. To reach the toxic sewers, you have to get back to the prisoner's quarters and use your Vine Rune to reach a previously blocked off path within the level. There you'll find the toxic sewers exit. After taking your first steps in the toxic sewers, you'll come across these bars. Someone will be starting a conversation from behind the bars and tell you that there's a rune hidden nearby and urge you to find it for them. You'll obviously agree because you're a very altruistic person. While exploring the toxic sewers, you'll eventually come past another set of those bars, and the thing behind them will tell you that the rune is nearby. You'll notice the familiar drapes with a skull and the arrow pointing down and courageously jump down. At the bottom of the pit, you will discover another elite stone, which upon approaching spawns an elite slasher. After making quick work of the slasher, you'll find the Teleportation Rune among its belongings. With this rune, you can now use the purple sarcophagi to teleport to new places. The third rune is the Ram Rune, and it's hidden deep within the ossuary. The way to the ossuary leads from the prisoner's quarters over the promenade of the condemned. At the end of the promenade of the condemned, instead of taking the elevator up, you now walk past the elevator and activate the teleportation statue at the end of this water pit, which leads you to the ossuary entrance. Deep inside the ossuary, you'll stumble upon the steel door, and while there are no drapes to signal that there's a rune elite nearby, once you enter the room, the door seals shut and an elite slasher spawns from the elite stone in front of you. With good equipment and some coordination, you'll again make quick work of this slasher. After picking up the fat loot, you can activate the Ram Rune. The Ram Rune causes you to destroy these rune floors when you stomp upon them. You can use the Ram Rune to unlock new paths, find hidden items, or crush your enemies under the debris. The last progress rune is the Spider Rune, which you'll find in the Slumbering Sanctuary. To reach the Slumbering Sanctuary, you'll first have to use the Vine Rune in the prisoner's quarters to go to the toxic sewers. You know this path already. In the toxic sewers, after you're done dealing with those pesky bats and scorpions and zombies and archers, you'll eventually come across a rune in the ground. With your newfound Ram Rune, you can now smash through the ground and progress to the ancient sewers. After opening all the chests and picking up the nice loot in the ancient sewers, you'll find the exit to the insufferable crypt, as it's the only exit to the ancient sewers. The exit is at the top of this elevator, and after you've made sure that you've taken all the paths you want, or found them blocked off by these narrow ways in the ceiling, you'll exit through the insufferable crypt door. In the insufferable crypt, you'll pick up the free loot and proceed through the doors. There you'll find again this narrow way in the ceiling, which you cannot go to at the moment, and take the only exit to the Slumbering Sanctuary. In the Slumbering Sanctuary, most of your paths are blocked off by these golden doors which just won't budge. But then you'll find your good old friend, the drapes with the skull and arrow, and you jump into the pit to face another elite rune guardian. In the Slumbering Sanctuary, this guardian is a caster. be warned, it can teleport quickly even though it is trapped, and it shoots fireballs very fast, which hit heavily. Upon its death, it will drop the Spider Rune, which you quickly activate to absorb it. With the Spider Rune, you can crawl up walls and finally ascend through these narrow ways on the ceiling. The fifth rune is some sort of a bonus rune, and it's the Challenger Rune, which you'll get by defeating the first boss, the Concierge. The Concierge guards the Black Bridge and drops the Challenger Rune upon its death. With the Challenger Rune you can now enter the daily challenges at the beginning of the prisoner's quarters, as well as have a look into your own stats. The sixth and final rune does not have an absorption cutscene. You can get it in the throne room, which is located at the end of the High Peak Castle. You better thoroughly prepare yourself, because you'll only get it once you beat the final boss. Back in the prisoner's quarters, you are given the command to detach your head from your body, which is the effect of the Homunculus Rune. To see if you got the Homunculus Rune already, either try to detach your head or go to the scribe next to the entrance to the challenge run past the flask in the prisoner's quarters. That's it for the Stat Cells Rune Guide. I hope that you liked the video and found it useful. If you did, please tell me in the comments. And if you didn't, please tell me also, so I can improve my work. Until then, have fun in Dead Cells and try to stay alive.